Alright, this is Dog4. Here we're going to talk about some Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition. So we're going to go ahead and answer a few questions that I've been getting about some of the other traits that aren't really as common as kind of through the game, and kind of how those work when they're their uses, things of that nature. So I'm just going to make a random person here, clear everything out. I'm not going to talk about a particular class or whatever, just talk about a lot of the kind of others, or just a general overview of stuff, but I'll focus primarily on the traits that aren't really as combat heavy. So, weapon ones, bow and crossbow, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to focus bow or focus on like crossbow, those are your kind of ranger weapons. Go with those ones. Dual wielding is really great if you're going wand, which I recommend. It's one of my favorites. Or if you're just going dual wielding as far as kind of a roguey or a dual wieldy kind of warrior build. Single-handed, if you're going for a single-handed weapon, that can be okay, but typically shields are not the best. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you really want to go that route and just try it, you can go that for your kind of damage. But you're going to primarily going to be kind of focusing on taking damage versus dealing it with that kind of build. Two-handed, if you're going for a two-handed fighter, that's definitely where you want to go. And then wand, if you're going for kind of a like wand witch build, I definitely say go with that. So wand, you'd probably definitely pair off with dual wielding. The defenses, this one I really don't spend a lot of time in. Armor, unless you're building a high armor kind of tanky person, I wouldn't put more than a point or two in there. It essentially ups your armor rating, and it also it makes the movement penalty less, so you can kind of do that, because if you're wearing very heavy armor, you're going to move a lot slower. But the kind of caveat of that is you're typically going to be using that charge to get into battle more often, so it's not really going to be as big of a deal for you. But it is still a bit of a hindrance for you once you use that charge to kind of get around the battlefield. So if you have some extra points, you can throw them in there, but I wouldn't really worry about it. And I would only put them in there if you have a very heavily armored character. If you have a very low armor character who's not going to be taking hits, then I wouldn't waste them there. Bodybuilding and willpower, these are actually good for anybody. Bodybuilding is a little bit better for your kind of melee people who are going to be taking a lot more of those kind of like physical things. It's things like being knocked down, burned, frozen, things that you're going to encounter throughout just melee kind of combat or being kind of up in the thick of the fight. Willpower does the exact same thing, but it kind of deals with more your kind of mental things. So like stun, curse, slow, charm, mute, fear, those kind of things where you're going to be, where it typically affects an entire party, including your kind of in the back guys. So it's if you're dealing with a kind of ranged person, I would focus more on your willpower than on your bodybuilding. If you're working with kind of in the midst of everything, I would go bodybuilding and willpower kind of equally there. But again, I wouldn't focus on trying to max those out. That's kind of a additional thing. 1 or 2 points there is going to be good just to kind of help you out. It's not going to say, hey, you're immune to these, but it's going to reduce it for you, and that's the kind of important part there. Also, there is shield specialist. Shield specialist, unless you're using a shield, it's worthless. And if you're going to use a shield, even it's not all that great. It makes your shields block more, but again, shields are not really where it's at as far as damage reduction goes. Tanks in this game are really not not like tanks in MMOs where they sit there and they take a lot of damage and it's needed a little bit of heals. So tanking is really not really worth it as far as shields go. You can try it. I've tried it. I'm not a big fan of it. So that's my opinion on shield specialist. Skills, and here's our kind of, we've gone over these for the most part. Air Mage, Archers, Geomages, Hydromages, Pyromages, Fighters, Scoundrels only good for 1 or 2 points, and that's kind of good for everybody, and at least a little bit, and then Witchcraft is a good kind of supporty kind of thing there. Personality. So the main focus and the difficulty and the challenge of this game is in one, the kind of puzzles, and two, it's the combat. And the combat's probably the more major part there. Bartering is essentially a worthless skill in my eyes. If you have one person with 1 point in the scoundrel so that they can turn invisible and steal everything, money will never be an issue for you. So being able to buy and sell stuff at a more efficient rate is not going to be is not going to really help you out. Those points are going to be kind of wasted. Charisma, it will open up some more dialogue options for you as far as making you better at doing the charming, the intonation, those kinds of things. If you want to be a little bit more true to the game and not do the save and reset whenever you have those kind of options until you get it right, you can put it there a little bit to kind of help make those options a little bit more. If you're trying to min-max and you don't care about that kind of thing, never put a single point in there and just save and reload until you win all of those, because you can win with 0 charisma, even those really challenging fights. It just takes a lot of trying and resetting it to actually happen. I don't like playing that way for the most part, and if stuff fails, you just end up fighting and you get a little bit more experience at times, so I'm typically fine doing that. So it's not going to hurt if you want to kind of try that route, but I wouldn't really worry about it. Leadership is one that is really good to have on one person. Putting it on multiples is not really the way to go. So someone who doesn't really need all of their points, so like if I'm building my wand witch, I'll typically give them leadership. There's a few things like leadership and craftsmanship and craftsman and other ones that I try and give one person that, and leadership is one of those. It's good to have on one person who's going to have those extra points. So kind of figure out which of your characters you don't really need all these extra points for. Make them your leader, because it is a very good thing. It boosts your initiative, your damage, just makes them all around better in combat for them. Lucky Charm is worthless. You'll find more things, but you typically don't find great things there. It does improve your offense rating. I don't think it does it enough to make it even worth it. You're going to be way happier putting those points into something else like leadership or especially those combat skills if those aren't all already maxed. Craftsmanship, blacksmithing, and crafting. Crafting I use a lot more. Blacksmithing you can make some really good gear, but I've never been at the point where my gear has been what's been holding me back. So you can try it out. I've tried it. It's just not really my thing. The crafting I like primarily for making arrows, and that's about it. So unless I'm making arrows, I don't even bother taking crafting. So Loremaster is one that, again, one person in your party should probably have, and they should get it fairly high, and just kind of up it as you're kind of getting. Once you start getting gear which you can't identify, then up that Loremaster one more level. You can find gear that boosts your Loremaster. If you ever find that, keep it even if it's bad, because what you can do is just equip all of that to boost up that Loremaster up +2, +3, and then you can identify everything and then take it all back and put on your much better gear. And that will save you quite a few points of investing in there. So hopefully you only have to put in 2 or 3 points into Loremaster, and then you can get those other ones from the kind of gear that's going to boost it up. But if you can't, it's fine to put in those extra points into Loremaster, because being able to identify those powerful magical items is very, very beneficial for you. Telekinesis, I think that's worthless. It lets you move things better with your mind, which is kind of, okay, great. You're typically going to have someone who has quite a bit of strength, just use them instead. I see very few times when that would ever be useful for you. Nasty deeds, I almost never touch these. Lockpicking, you can just break down doors, so I don't really worry about that, especially with a wand. You're not going to waste all that durability. Pickpocketing, again, you're going to get access to an NPC that has some of that already, and that's enough that you can get by with. And you can just use him to go through and trial and error until you get it successfully, if you ever have to. And there's very few times when pickpocketing is actually a beneficial thing. There's like 2 or 3 quests where you can get an outcome through pickpocketing, but again, I wouldn't really worry about it or waste my points there. And then sneaking, if you're not playing Enhanced A Edition, it's crazy overpowered, and you want to max that out for rogues or any kind of character that can use it. But for Enhanced A Edition, they got nerfed to the point where it's pretty much a useless thing now. You can use that in invisibility with fun point in Scoundrel, and that's going to be way, way better than sneaking ever will be. So, as opposed to putting any points into sneaking, just put 1 point into Scoundrel and get that invisibility spell for yourself. There's your kind of overview on those A abilities. Just kind of want to see, so to kind of cover all of them, which I kind of glazed over in the past. I hope this helps. Until next time, this is Dogmath. Good luck.